I got to do this. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the December 16th Township Council meeting. Well, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence afterwards. Keep in mind all our first responders and the men and women who protect us every day. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I have roll call, please.
Vice President Murphy,
Present.
Mr. Antonello,
Present.
Mr. Blaylock,
Here.
Mr. Glassen,
Present.
Mrs. Wagner.
Present.
Mr. Fleiger, I bring up now that we met in executive session.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. We met in executive session, discussed personnel and real estate matters.
Thank you. Monthly reports are available for review in the Township Manager's office. Public comments will be taken on land development and official action items. General comments will be taken during opportunity for residents to address council. I also want to mention, I understand Verizon is down. So you can go to the Township page and click on live streaming, and you can watch it from there. So first up, we have presentations and public hearings. We have the swearing in of police officers, Roth and Reilly. Chief Colton. Hello.
Good evening. Before we begin, I'd like to take the opportunity again, as always, to thank members of council for their support to the men and women of the Bristol Township Police Department, and Manager Elton also, as well, for her stalwart support of the police department. All right, I'd like to call at this time Officer James Ruth up.
Ruth, I'm sorry.
Over that side. Over here. Officer James Ruth, badge number 185. Jim is originally from the Rockville, Maryland area. He has a bachelor's degree in psychology from High Point University and a graduate degree in counseling from Franciscan University of Steubenville. Prior to beginning a law enforcement career, Jim worked with at-risk youth as a licensed professional counselor. Also, Ruth graduated from the Temple University Police Academy in October of 2021, this year, and is assigned to the Patrol Division. Officer Ruth lives in Lower Bucks County with his wife, Kristen, and their daughters. I'd also like to note that Jim and Kristen also serve Bucks County community as foster parents. So at this time, His Honorable Judge Terry Hughes will present the oath of office to Officer Ruth. And Kristen, you would come up and hold the Bible. Right in front.
Ready? I state your name.
I, James Ruth,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support.
that I will support.
Where are we? Thank you. I will support, obey, and defend
I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the Commonwealth
of the Commonwealth
of Pennsylvania
of Pennsylvania
and the laws of Bristol Township.
and the laws of Bristol Township.
That I will be guided in my duties
That I will be guided in my duties
of my office
of my office
solely by the laws
solely by the laws
and regulations
and regulations
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
That I will discharge the duties
That I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity,
with fidelity,
honesty,
honesty,
and integrity.
and integrity.
That I will uphold,
That I will uphold,
obey,
obey,
and enforce the law
and enforce the law
without consideration
without consideration
to a person's
to a person's
race,
race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap,
handicap,
or disability.
or disability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor.
All right, the second officer to be sworn in tonight, I'd like to call up Officer Nicole Reilly, badge number 190. Nicole Reilly was born and raised in Richboro, Pennsylvania. She graduated from Council Rock High School South and studied criminal justice at Bucks County Community College. Nicole is also a volunteer firefighter and is currently volunteers in New Hope. Prior to beginning her career with Bristol Township Police Department, Nicole was a Bucks County 911 dispatcher for police, fire, and EMS. Officer Reilly graduated from the Temple Police Academy in October of 2021 and is currently assigned to the Patrol Division. Nicole, when not working, enjoys reading and spending time with her family. At this time, I'd like to ask her father, Jeff, to come on up to hold the Bible for the swearing in.
I state your name.
I, Nicole Reilly,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth
the Constitution of the Commonwealth
of Pennsylvania,
of Pennsylvania,
and the laws of Bristol Township.
and the laws of Bristol Township,
That I will be guided in my duties
that I will be guided in my duties
of my office
of my office
solely by the laws and regulations
solely by the laws and regulations
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
And that I will discharge the duties
that I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity,
with fidelity,
honesty,
honesty,
and integrity.
and integrity.
That I will uphold,
I will uphold,
obey,
obey,
and enforce the law
and enforce the law
without consideration
without consideration
to a person's race,
to a person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap,
handicap,
or disability.
or disability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Colton. That's always fun. That's great stuff. All right. Next up, we have public hearing and ordinances. We have a public hearing and presentation on proposed 2022. Oh, okay. I'll repeat it again for those who might have missed it.
I'm shocked you don't want to stay for the public hearing
you
on the
sure?
budget. I mean, this is fascinating stuff.
Go celebrate.
Have a great night, folks.
Right. Thank you. All right, so next up, public hearing and ordinances. First, we have a public hearing and presentation on the proposed 2022 township budget. Manager Randy Elton. The all-important cord is coming out.
It's not working, but you can get the gist. I mean, the presentation's up there, but it's not in slideshow form, but you get the gist. Thank you, council, and residents, I appreciate it, for allowing us to present the proposed 2022 budget. We are not proposing any increases this year. So no tax increase, no trash increase, no sewer fees increases. Yes.
Hearing's over.
Yes. Yes. So every year we go over the budget schedule. We get the information from the department heads. We work with them. We distribute it to council as required by First Class Township Code. We had our first reading November 18th at our last meeting, and our presentation is tonight. And hopefully adoption. So the highlights are no fund balances being proposed as revenue to balance the general fund, no real estate tax increase. Our budget proposes, it reflects a 22.6 increase in all funds over last year's budget, and we are continuing to invest in infrastructure. We're still doing the blight removal, renovation of the senior center, renovation for the fire station, construction of parks and recreation building, parks upgrade, upgrade to the treatment plant, continued sanitary and stormwater infrastructure upgrades, and we'll still have our milling and paving and road curb ramp replacement program. This shows our millage, which is 23.98, which stays the same as it has for the last decade. This is a history showing that from it spans even before this. In 2010 was the last time there was an increase. So there was a slight decrease, and we're at 10 years of no millage increases. Slide of what the average dollar goes to. 82 cents goes to the school district. Bucks County, 9 cents of a dollar, and Bristol Township is also 9 cents of a dollar. From the real estate tax and refuse fee, this will show that they're staying the same. The rates are the same. The average assessed value of a home is $18,800. They pay an annual $450.82 for local taxes. That equates to $37.57 per month, which equates to $1.25 a day. If you put, when you get your actual real estate taxes, you have not only the township taxes on there, you have your refuse, your streetlights, and your county. So that typically equates to an assessed value, average assessed value of $1,231, knocking it down to $102.62 a month, and still only $3.42 per day. While it's great for a decade, we cannot sustain this. We're not proposing any tax increases this year, but it will be highly evaluated next year. We are at minimum staffing that we can handle for police. We're hiring, and we need more personnel. We're growing. We have more businesses coming in, which is great, which has helped us stabilize our tax base for the residents. But with more businesses coming in and the township growth that we've had, which is wonderful with our Parks and Rec and our Public Works, we need more staff, and we need more maintenance, and we need more operation. That is just a foresight of next year. This year, we're good.
And part of the reason we're good for this year was some federal dollars that found its way into our coffers?
Not exactly.
Not necessarily. We spent that money on other things?
Well, no, this year, and we've been good for the last couple of years because of real estate transfer taxes being so high, and for permit fees. Bless you. And for permit fees, that's that they can stop at any point in time. We can have a recession and that all goes away. So we've been doing very good on those two that have increased. This year alone in the general fund we'll have a $3 million surplus because of those increases of revenue.
And sound budgeting in prior years.
100%. This is just a list of the proposed funds for the 22 budget. This will all be posted online. It just shows that there's a 22.6 increase in the budget from last year to this year, mainly from the sewer investments that we're doing at the treatment plant, the upgrades, and that's the primary increase, and the increase in grant funding. As you said, as Pat mentioned, that we did receive $15.8 million from the American Rescue Fund plan, and we're proposing to use about $7 million of that for next year. Our major general fund components, again, the budget will be posted with the presentation online. Our total revenue is, our general fund revenue proposal is for $22,629,500. We have, this shows you that we have an increase of revenue across the board, which is earned income, local local enabling taxes, EIT. You see the real estate property transfer taxes, an increase of 33%, and that has been incrementally increasing for the last couple years, and our permits and revenues are continuing to increase. And for the expenditures, it's $22,629,500. That's a balanced budget. We've been able to, this is only increasing slightly from last year, $375,000. We've been able to budget well as we've had a lot of seasoned officers retire. So we have new officers that we're hiring at the starting rate. So our capital fund highlights are we're going to be purchasing 9 new vehicles, 4 for the police department, 1 for building and planning, 1 for community development, and some for public works. We're going to be doing a senior center addition with renovation, park and rec, new construction of a prefab building, fire station addition and renovations at the former Inspire building. We have in there our glass and grants, which is $25,000 to each, or $20,000 to each fire company and rescue squad, and some public increase in public works improvements to the building, as well as Indian Creek Park for a new play station and a new play structure and an upgraded basketball court. We are fortunate and continue to go out for grants, and we're very fortunate in receiving a lot. We've upgraded now probably 20 traffic signals, and they've all been by grants. None of them had been upgraded before the grants started being applied for about 5 years ago. So with our federal grant, the $15.8 million that we got from the American Rescue Fund, we're proposing for next year to use a portion of it to pay for, we've talked about this before, to allocate to the fire companies. The 5 volunteer fire companies had asked for a millage increase. We did not think it was the right time to pass that on to the residents of the township. So with this funding, we're going to, for the next 3 years, pay them out 1 mil increase for the next 3 years. So that equates to $83,585 for each volunteer fire company, for a total of almost $418,000. We're also doing the same for the rescue squads. So we have 2 rescue squads, so they'll each get an additional $92,745 for the next 3 years each year. We are moving along very well with our sanitary storm sewer improvements. We have budgeted $2.8 million for both that and the storm sewer improvements. We have seen, it appears we've seen a reduction in I&I, and we're keeping a track on that. So we've received the automated, the ARLI grants and the Green Light Go grants. These are all for traffic signal improvements, and we just received grant award for the Randall Avenue Bridge, which is about $1 million corrections to to give us about a couple years or 10 years to look down for more money for a replacement, because that bridge to replace is probably about $25 million. We just got word for our redevelopment authority grants that we received for the municipal program. They do the matches for us for the traffic signals. They also gave us some money for some park upgrades for netting, and President Bowen's only request after 8 years is a flagpole in the municipal park, so they awarded that. And then the 5 volunteer companies, the township, he does not ask for much. So the 5 volunteer fire companies are career staff, and 2 rescue squads each get $20,000 apiece from them, and we, like I said, we continue to look for grant funding. Liquid fuels, our budget is $1.5 million. Out of that, we will still be doing the curb ramp replacements, the milling and paving, that's for snow removal, and equipment purchases. As I stated earlier, the recreation fund, we're upgrading Indian Creek Park. Our Parks and Rec department is, in my opinion, but I think in a lot of people's opinion, is top down, one of the best, if not the best, in Bucks County. From the Parks and Rec director, Jessica Fox, to the entire staff, Jair and Dana, and all the assistants that Charlie, our Public Works director, and the Public Works employees assist. You know, they do a lot with less staff and little money, and they continue to improve and do more. So, you know, we'll continue on with the summer camp, the movie nights, Bristol Riverside Theater, National Night Out, Holiday Parade, and tree lighting. Obviously, these are all COVID dependent on restrictions of gatherings. The sewer fund is $16 million. There's no rate increase proposed for 2022. We're evaluating that as we upgrade. The upgrade has been on the books now for a decade. We're moving forward in January. We had to borrow more money because of the unknown remediation, so there's soil and groundwater contamination that we're remediating, adding a second clarifier to build capacity to fund to continue our economic development growth. And the roof and the HVAC needs to be upgraded at the plant. There's no rate increase proposed for 2022 for the refuse. Our contract ends at the end of next year, and we'll have to be evaluating if there has to be a rate increase when the new contract, when the bids come in and any new contract prices. And right now we're still evaluating for this year. We weren't able to have the cleanups, and we're still evaluating for next year how we'll be. We do, as well as we do with revenue, there are still some exponential finances expenditures, and this is with the OPEB, with the post-retirement employee health benefits from the years past and the contracts past. This is the cost if it was on the books for $3.7 million if we funded in whole post-retirement health care contractually until the most recent years, as it's been 100% post-retirement health care funded by the municipality. We've changed some contracts where when they get to Medicare eligibility, they are off the township insurances, so that will help reduce our unfunded liabilities. So the $1.8 million is what we actually pay for the existing post-retirement health care each year for the police. So that we talked about the post-retirement health care. There's also the police pension. I just actually learned today we are 100% funded, which is amazing. So that is a great, that as you can see, it went down $1.5 million. So we are 100% funded from great great returns in the market. The market's doing well right now, so this is all volatile that it goes with the market, but right now the market is doing well. You know, with the attrition of hiring younger staff police officers, you know, we have less on the books on pension. And the accrued leave is sick, you know, sick and vacation and all the buyout for any retirement in the future. And then the MMO is just the municipal, minimal municipal obligation for the pensions. The bond is from the past bond that did not get funded well through the market. And deferred compensation is part of the contractual obligations that we have with the police department. So the other good news that we have is that our insurances had come in about $40,000 less than last year for this year, as well as, again, it's our workers' comp reduced because our payroll reduced because we have younger staff on police. So we have younger, you know, less, you know, they're at the early stages of their salaries. And we also, our health insurance, we're in a trust. And with the rate stabilization fund that we do get from them annually, depending again on how well we do experience-wise in the market, we have actually are at a 0 increase for our health insurance for next year. So with that, I would like to say my gratitude and my thank you to the community, council, all of staff, all of our consultants, our volunteer fire companies, rescue squads, and our boards and commissions. Second year, it's been great. It's a wonderful staff. It's a wonderful community, and we look forward to doing more things.
It's only been 2 years? Does it
As I've
feel
been
like
manager.
10? Like,
Yeah.
wow, there's some tremendous accomplishments on there. Sizable ongoing infrastructure improvements and projects, and 10th year, no tax increases. So you guys do a tremendous job. Do we need a motion in order then to accept, or?
Resolution on the consent agenda.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. Alrighty. Anybody have any questions? Well, thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, okay, excellent.
I'll just like to compliment Randy and the entire staff at Bristol Township. I don't know that the residents understand the benefit we get from having such an experienced, competent staff working for the residents of Bristol Township. And, you know, I don't know that council says it enough in public, but thank you for all the hard work you do. I'm extremely proud of the staff that we have in place, and we're somewhat responsible for that. So we're really, I'd like to send out, you know, end of the year. Yeah, exactly. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so then moving on, an ordinance amending Chapter 160 and 160-26 for collection procedures for unpaid municipal claims for delinquent accounts. Consideration to take appropriate action. Am I passing it right back to you again?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you. So this is, it's kind of, I have to explain it a little out of order. So on new business, we're going to have a amendment to our collections with Portnoy. They collect our delinquent sewer fees. We're going to be asking them to add on our delinquent trash and streetlight fees as well, or taxes that we're not, or user fees that we're not collecting. So with that said, we hadn't, since we had brought them on 5 years ago, they hadn't increased any of their fees. So this is by ordinance. They've asked for a new rate schedule, and so that's what this is a new rate schedule for the existing sewer and the proposed trash and streetlights collection, and it all gets passed on to the delinquent tax user.
Exactly, but what is the increase amount?
It is a large, long list of claims.
For each separate one, there's something different. So there's not like a percentage, they're all different.
It's a per fee.
Got
use.
it.
But not a cost to us.
But, no, but they've raised it, but they didn't raise it
It
the
hasn't-
same at each issue, each one is different.
Right.
Oh, my God, all right. Okay. I'm good with that.
I mean, it's like filing fees, and I mean, they're just raising it per cost. You know, they have a statute and a limit that they're allowed to raise it by.
Okay.
So we need a motion to approve that, correct?
I'll make that motion.
All righty.
And I'll second it.
All right, motion by Mr. Antonello and seconded by Mr. Glassen. On the motion, is there any questions? If you'll call the board. Or, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I didn't hear that. Okay, thank you. So on to our consent agenda. I'll read through these. Consider approval of voucher list and requisitions dated December 16th, 2021, in the amount of $1,882,289.87. Consider approval of November 18th, 2021 council meeting minutes. Consider resolution adopting the 2022 township budget and setting forth millage rates to fund said adopted budget. Consider revised resolution for sewage planning module for 909 Pennsylvania Avenue subdivision. And consider revised resolution for sewer planning module for 3704 Elmhurst Avenue subdivision. Consider revised resolution for sewage planning module for 300 Park Avenue subdivision. And lastly, consider establishment of 2022 council meeting dates and times.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Ms. Wagner,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mr. Blaylock. On the motion, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. Report from our township manager. It sounds like you just gave that report.
That's what I was going to say. Just once again, thank you very much. Obviously, we're wishing Craig well on his recovery from his knee replacement, President Bowen. And I just thank you all again. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thank you. And a report from Township Solicitor, Mr. Flager.
I will also keep it brief. I want to thank the township and all the staff for another great year in Bristol. And want to wish Craig well. Want to wish a happy birthday to Scott Holbert from our office. And happy holidays, happy New Year, happy everything, health and happiness and prosperity in 2022.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Adam.
As we think everybody knows, but let's not assume. As Mr. Bowen had said at last meeting, he is unavailable this meeting because he had a knee replacement. And so he got some new bionic parts and won't be with us this evening, but returning in January. So on to new business. We have an application of PER Sons Associates and Henry and Raymond Parati, 2605 Durham Road and 316 Radcliffe Street, Bristol, PA, requesting preliminary subdivision approval in order to relocate the existing lot line on the property located at 2605 Durham Road, Bristol, tax parcels number 5-20-26-003 and 5-20-27 in a C commercial zoned district. Consideration to approve. Hello.
Is this better? Okay, perfect. But not a problem. So we're here today on behalf of the owner of Parati Plaza. As you mentioned, Parati Plaza consists of two separate parcels located at 2605 Durham Road. We're here today for a lot line change. Essentially, the one parcel is about 30,000 square feet. The other parcel is approximately 90,000 square feet. And what we're proposing is to essentially even the parcels out. The one will be 57,000 square feet and change, and the other will be about 61,000 square feet and change. Purely a paper project here, no new development proposed as a part of this particular application. We went before the zoning hearing board because even though we're just moving a lot line, we needed a few variances to do that, and those were granted. We went before the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission also recommended approval on the project. We've had a chance, obviously, to take a look at the resolution provided by Mr. Flager's office, and we are in full agreement with that. And I have my client here, Mr. Raymond Parati, who's more than willing to sign that tonight. However, what we also have is we have Mike Eggleton from Pickering Courts in Somerset. He has a flash drive with some exhibits if the board would care to take a look at that. Otherwise, what we're requesting today is for our lot line change, we have 6 different waivers. I would submit to council that they're rather standard. However, I'd be more than happy to go through those if necessary. And my client and our expert is here as well. So if council has any questions, we'll happily address those.
Well, I know I've seen this through zoning and planning.
I haven't seen it, I'm just, the location.
So it's on Durham Road. There's that restaurant that is, the former restaurant
Yes,
is there.
former restaurant, correct.
It's closed down now, right? Am I thinking of
What is the name of that joint then?
Casamia? Okay, got it, good enough. So it's that property?
Correct.
Got it. I just wanted to, I wasn't oriented where that exactly was.
Not a problem.
Mr. Schroeder, do you have any comments? Hello.
Hello. I have no comments, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any comments? Anybody have? All right.
Do we need a motion?
You would.
I'll make it.
All right, motion by Mr. Antonello,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mr. Blaylock. On the motion, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I just couldn't place it out. I was spacing in my head about where it was, so there's going to be a development.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have an application of Conwell Egan Catholic High School, 611 Worcester Road, Fairless Hills, PA, tax parcel number 5-35-225, requesting waiver of land development approval for athletic fields at the above-noted location in an R1 residential zone district. Hello,
Hello.
how are you?
Good evening. I'm great. How about yourself?
Fantastic.
It's thank you very much, Council, Randy, Kurt. Appreciate the time that you're taking today or tonight.
You're
And it's
saying.
nice to see everybody in person this time instead of the last time when we were
that's
on
right.
Zooming or whatever we did.
Yeah.
Just want to introduce you to Tom Miller, our civil engineer, Mary Pace Goldman, John Rizzo from Musco, and Bryce you met earlier. So Mr. Profio is unable to make it tonight for us, so Bryce is stepping in for him. We do have PowerPoint presentations if you care to see them, if they're necessary. And any questions you have for us, just let us know. And Bryce, you're up.
Thanks a lot, Pat. Good evening again. So, thank you again for having us. Again, today representing Conwell Egan, who the project is a simple waiver of land development. Essentially, what we're trying to do is there's some athletic fields to the north of the property, and we're simply seeking to replace those with synthetic turf fields. There's some minor improvements to the parking area, no changes to any structures or anything like that. Obviously, in order to do this, we're here before you for this waiver of land development. We've requested a few different waivers. I would submit that they're, again, rather standard. Separately speaking, I had a chance to take a look at the review letter prepared by Gilmore and Associates. The various comments within that letter are all will complies. Our experts are here today, as Mr. Donlin introduced them. Obviously, we'll be working with Township, with Township on the various, whether it's a lighting plan, whether it's stormwater management, all will complies. However, I've had a chance also to take a look at the resolution prepared by Mr. Flager's office. Again, Mr. Donlin's authorized to sign that here today if council so deems that appropriate. But with that, as Mr. Donlin said, we have various professionals here. I have Mr. Donlin here as well, so we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that council may have regarding the project.
If I remember correctly, it came up in the Zoom meeting, something about lighting, right? So, and I understand you did some testing to confirm the lighting stays on the field, doesn't, right.
Exactly, yes. There was some, I guess there were concerns or mention regarding the angle of the lighting and making sure there's not any reflection or that sort of thing. So I'd like to make a couple comments about that. First is there is from what I understand, there's a meeting, is it scheduled for Monday at 2 o'clock? Yeah, we have a meeting scheduled Monday, 2 o'clock with the township regarding the same issue. However, what I will also say is we will work with the township professionals, and whatever lighting plan that we propose, obviously, will be subject to township approval, and obviously this will be conditioned on that as well. from a practical perspective, obviously. From a legal perspective, we know we don't want to provide a nuisance to any of the neighbors. From a practical perspective, we don't want to be a bad neighbor either.
Absolutely not. Just in generally speaking, regarding the lighting, how late at night will that be on? At any given time? Exceptions, of course, you know, if you have a special event, but generally speaking, Pat.
Sure, Pat Wine, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This field that we're proposing is basically a practice field.
I recall. And while you're going to talk about it, my next question was, just refresh my memory on the buffer zone where you meet up with the closest residential dwelling at the back end.
Yeah, we have Queen Anne Drive to the west of us, I guess.
Right.
Then we're up, I think, 40 feet to our fence, and then our softball field's another 40 feet. Actually, we're moving our fields eastbound, away from Queen Anne
that,
Drive,
yeah.
At least 50 feet. So that will improve the buffer zone.
Okay. Yeah, I was talking, there's a house right at that corner point
There
where
is.
your boundary lines are,
Yes.
right? That's what I'm thinking of, and I just want to make sure that, you know, the neighbors are as okay as they can be at this
I
point?
did send a letter out dated September 9th to all the residents that back up to our property or
Right.
across the street from our property, sent out the certified letters. I have all the receipts here that I have. To my knowledge, I got nothing.
Okay.
I got nothing, so.
Okay, I just didn't know if there was a proposal to do some sort of, you know, natural buffering there, you know, plantings or anything like that.
If need be, I mean, that's something that
You guys,
we
yeah.
can look at. We have a concern, we had bigger oak trees that dropped acorns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we want to try and keep that type of vegetation away from the field because
Right.
it's a maintenance issue.
Yeah.
But we are willing to, you know, put any kind of vegetation.
Yeah, I'm just talking about, yeah, exactly. And personally, I'm not worried about you guys, but I just want to make sure that, you know, you've considered everything for the residents that abut the fields.
Yeah, the only field that's really going to be close enough will be the softball field. And we're going to, I mean, we have the state-of-the-art netting now, not backstops, but netting, and we propose to put up any type of netting behind the home plate of the softball field that will protect balls from getting outside. The addition of moving the field 50 feet is going to be huge.
Makes a big deal. Okay, I'll let you talk about the lighting then. You were about to comment on the lighting, about how late?
It's basically a practice field. It's going to be football, field hockey, and softball combined field. I don't know if we have a picture of it or not, but the lighting, we talked about this at our sketch hearing, and you know, whatever you ask us to do. The only time that this field really is going to be used at night is probably in the fall when it gets dark after daylight savings time, and it's going to be for football practice. That's basically it. And if it's 9 o'clock we need to get off, we'll have the timer set for 9 o'clock or whatever, but we are willing to work with council, the neighbors, whatever it takes.
Don't perceive it to be an issue. It's not like our field that's going to be on at night
No.
later, you know, for
I
tournaments.
saw this on the other night at 11:30. I'm like, yikes. Then thank God we're not doing that.
Yeah, but we don't have an issue with,
Right.
you know, so
Right.
we want to make sure. Okay, thanks, I'm good.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Excellent. Kurt, any comments?
Usually not, but I want to make sure we get this right tonight because they're very anxious to get under construction. There is a waiver request from some planting in the buffering areas. There's a waiver requested. So I would probably recommend at this juncture, so we don't delay them with any kind of issue, that perhaps we modify to a partial waiver and that they provide buffering that works with them, because they do have concerns about the types of plantings and whatnot, but also is maybe satisfactory to township engineer and staff. Gives a little
That was my
flexibility.
concern. That's why I brought that up about the buffering. Yikes. Yeah, so.
Where are you going to be putting that buffer? At one house?
Can make a partial waiver.
I don't really,
I mean,
in my
the
mind, I
house that's
can't
back
see that
there-
you really need buffering.
No, the house back there, I mean, has not been involved in any kind of issues. Our baseball field is way to the east. There's no balls getting over to that neighbor. Actually, the neighbor's very nice to us. The only thing is softball, and if we have a girl that can hit a softball that far,
That's what I'm thinking.
we're doing well. We'll be in the news. And the
Well,
other is football. So footballs don't get out that way. But baseball is so far away, it doesn't even impact that neighbor at all.
Right. I know.
I would still like to take Kurt's suggestion on this. Do you want to follow up?
We can go with your direction. Like I said, I want to make sure that, you know, there was some talk about and some agreement to adding buffer. There's a waiver being requested that would go into the record of not being required to do any buffer. So if there is an interest in seeing some buffer, council could advise us and we can proceed with that. Otherwise, we're also happy if it's council's discretion to grant the waiver.
I'm always concerned that there's a neighbor that comes up after the fact and it becomes a problem. And I know the kind of neighbors that Comwell Egan is, and they would probably want to accommodate them. But if it goes through as it stands, that might be an issue. I'm not looking to create a problem. I'm just looking to modify that particular,
All right, so you're going to make a motion
I guess
for that?
you could grant the waiver and place a condition to the fact that, you know, it'll be evaluated, you know, at the time.
if we can do it like that, I'm good with that.
And if I may,
Go ahead.
that would be completely agreeable to the applicant. What I would suggest is if you want to place a condition that the applicant will work with township staff and the township engineer to determine some vegetation, some landscaping that could go in that area that would not be detrimental to the turf fields. 'Cause I believe
Exactly.
that's-
And, you know, look, I'm talking about fast-growing arborvitae, not an oak tree. You know what I mean? That's all. Along the fence line.
Right, or something, you know, and add to it that if at any point in time a resident comes up, that we'll be able to have a conversation about what their concerns are and reasonably have a discussion of possible more buffering that is needed.
Of course.
Yeah, and my hope is none of this happens.
Right.
That you just do what you do and everybody's happy and we move along, you know, and I don't want to hold you up a second. Get going, all right? So with all that said, however we figure that out, I'm making that motion.
Motion by Pat Antonello.
second it.
Second by Mary Ann Wagner. On the motion, are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Good to see you guys,
Can't
Pat.
wait to see it.
Best of luck. I know it'll all work out.
The other one's beautiful.
Yes.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Thank you.
No, 'cause they have to make changes to it. Okay. Yeah, reach out.
So long, thank you.
Have a happy holiday.
So next up that's okay. Bristol Township Senior Center lease, consideration to take appropriate action. I believe you can sum this up, Ms. Elton?
I can.
I know it.
The lease is,
Hello?
the lease is up at the end of this year. It's a very simple lease to extend for another 25 years. The more we extend the lease with the senior center, the more grant opportunity we have.
Nice.
I'll make that motion then.
Motion by Marion Wagner, seconded by Joe Glasson. On the motion, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. National Opioid Settlements Agreements administered by the PA Attorney General. Would that be Mr. Flager?
So this is the one of the first settlements. There's still more to come. But essentially, this would be hundreds of thousands of dollars for Bristol Township. There may be conditions that would be put on this. We don't have those yet as far as how the funds could be used, whether it's going to be police or fire or EMS or things like that that we can use. And then once we have that, that's money that these pharmaceutical companies will be paying us. So this one is Janssen and all the related entities, and the distributors, but there would still be more money to come. But essentially, if we opt in, we can get that money, and if everyone in Bucks County opts in, we would get this money. If they don't opt in, then it could decrease what everyone in the county gets. So obviously, it's a lot of money that's being doled out, and I think the county might be getting additional money that might be going to the municipalities, but this is, I think, about $400,000 that would be coming to Bristol Township.
All right.
I'll make that motion.
There you go. Motion by Marion Wagner,
I'll second it.
second by Joe Glasson. On the motion, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Magnolia Drive Intergovernmental Maintenance Agreement with Falls Township.
So this is very easy as well. This is actually an agreement that's been in place since 1998. Nobody can find the agreement. We've drafted an agreement of what we've been doing for the last decade. So it's just, there's a portion of Magnolia Drive that's in Falls Township, but the township maintains. We maintain the roadway and the curbing and the streetlights, and Falls Township maintains the greenbelt and the trees and the storm sewer systems, the inlets that are on the greenbelt. So we're just trying to memorialize this again so that we can take this over to our municipal service representative over at in PennDOT Liquid Fuels and get our due for liquid fuels, which we have not been collecting for the last decade, but doing the work.
Great idea.
I will make that motion.
That motion by Pat Antonello,
I'll second.
second by Marion Wagner. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Amendment of Portugal agreement to include delinquent trash and streetlight fee collections. As you referenced earlier. Anybody have any more questions on that?
No.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Joe Glasson.
Second.
Second by Pat Antonello. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I said aye too, sorry. Bids for police department locker room and fitness room renovation upgrades, general construction / carpenter.
So if you don't mind, we can just take all of them at the same, rather
Fill
than,
us
just go through G through J. So if you recall, last year we were awarded $350,000 from the redevelopment municipal grant program, Redevelopment Authority. It's been taking this long to find, it's a small project, and since we're a first-class township, we have prime bids, so that means every contractor has to bid their own project. We've been having a very hard time finding contractors. We do have 3 bids that I would like to award tonight for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, but I would like to recommend rejection of the general contractor bid and put it out to bid. We have advertisements for to be placed in tomorrow's paper for a new bid in hopes that we will, and the likelihood that we have found some smaller contractors that will be able to bid the price or bid the job. So we don't lose this grant, which has to be spent by March 31st.
Right.
So my recommendation would be to reject LJ Palola Construction in the amount of $508,000 for their base bid, a total bid for $558,000 for the general construction carpenter bid that was submitted,
Okay.
and to award Hirschberg Mechanical for $149,900, to award Hirschberg Mechanical for plumbing, Hirschberg Mechanical is their name, but for plumbing, the plumbing award, $135,320, and to award the electrical contract to MJF Electrical at $69,900.
Motion by Marion Wagner,
I'll second it.
second by Ray Blaylock. On the motions, are there any questions? No. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I didn't hear any opposition, right? Excellent. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution requesting extension to RDA Contract 2020-09 for Bristol Township Police Department locker room and fitness room renovation upgrades. This sounds like what you just went over. This just extends it.
Thank you.
All right?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Joe Glassen,
I'll second it.
second by Marion Wagner. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. Resolution requesting extension to RDA Contract 2020-14 for Levertown Fire Company Number 2 engine room renovations. Joe? I'm sorry.
Just to echo off of what Randy was saying, we struggled with some material supplies and some contractors to do the work, so we were looking to get the extension to do that work until, I believe it's the end of March.
Extending the grant. Okay. I have a
I'll make that motion.
motion by Marion Wagner,
Second.
second by Pat Antonello. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Lastly, purchase and service agreement for new financial accounting, utility billing, and building planning code enforcement software.
So.
I think that says it all.
Yeah.
You're right. Ray, you want to take this one?
So, I guess, prior to, this council coming on back in 2010, 2011, a financial software was purchased, new board came on, the financial software apparently, sat, aside. Tom Scott was hired to implement it in 2013, I believe, and, it is not a software that, any of the staff has ever enjoyed using. It's for like a city of New York, population much higher than ours. Riding it out for a while, it's come to the time now where we have to upgrade servers again. We have to add more modules. It's going to cost more now, where it makes sense to cut our ties, cut our losses, and move forward with a new program. So that's what I'm recommending tonight. This program, we will be moving to the cloud, which is actually frees up our server and our IT, and puts all the maintenance and the responsibilities on the product and the professional staff they have. So it's called Encode. It stays with Tyler Technologies, which we have Munis with, but this is for mid-level size municipalities as we are. We all had a demo. It seems very, very easy to use, and I'm recommending it. It would be a recurring cost of $58,000 per year and a one-time cost of $144,000, and that's to take about a year, have all these upgrades. Actually, some benefits that we'll be able to roll out in phases. It has an app for the residents that they can download for free. Report issues, see what's going on day to day. I gave myself a deadline or a promise to President Bowen that I will have the website upgraded by the end of January. So these will all work hand in hand together. We're just moving forward with better technology and better software program.
We like it.
I would love to make that motion.
Mary Ann Wagner makes the motion.
I have a question. This software will take over everything that runs. Is there something that won't be affected by this software?
No, the program that we have now is for code enforcement, permits, utility billing, and for taxes. So financial.
Financial.
So we have a separate software for real estate, or for real estate taxes, and they're not 100. That we also have to upgrade because that is probably 2 decades old.
Okay.
So we're looking at different areas of that. This might be a module that they can add on. They're not done yet, so we're going to hold off continuing looking, see what they have when it comes out, which should be mid 2022.
That was the intent of my question, that we are consolidating as much as possible into a program that we all like, and yeah, thank you.
So we have a motion by Mary Ann Wagner,
I'll second it.
second by Joe Glassen. On the motion, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any other business? Comments from council members, other than your holiday greetings?
Yes, that's it.
holiday greetings, but I'd also like to take this opportunity, I don't know that anybody's said anything, but John Monahan had been serving on council, and if he was able physically to be here, this would have been his last meeting before a long and illustrious career in local politics comes to an end. So even in his absence,
And we don't make light of that, and that's why we dedicated the building in.
to
named
John
the building
Monahan,
in
that's
John's
correct.
name.
But
Absolutely.
I would like to just acknowledge him, as this would have been his last meeting, and wish him the best, and thank him for all his years of service to Bristol Township. Nobody's quite sure how old John is. I don't know if,
He won't
he's
tell.
90-something, and he won't confirm it.
And,
But anyhow.
oh,
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm sorry, go ahead, sorry.
No, and I just wanted to finish by wishing everyone a happy holiday season with, whatever holiday they choose to celebrate.
And Merry Christmas to us. There is no one who wanted to comment, so. Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi.
My name is Tom Stanton. I live in the Plum Ridge section of Bristol Township.
Hi, Tom.
I've been a volunteer fireman for over 20 years. Not currently now, but I am a fireman. I have a few quick things, and then I'll get it out of your way. Happy holidays to council first off, and everybody in attendance. I have two problems. 3701 Veterans Highway. They're running like a junkyard out of there, dropping hazardous waste materials on the ground.
What's the business in there?
Yeah,
what is that? What is it?
Yeah, it's the old McDonald's, but there is a lot of problems going on there. I am a certified hazardous material technician, and they are dropping materials on said property.
Have you talked to code enforcement about this?
What kind of business is running there now?
It is, I have pictures of them at all hours of the day and night out there cutting cars up. There is hazardous materials going into the air. There's hazardous materials going onto the ground. And it's something that the township should be aware of. As well as on
Hold on a
Prunwood Road.
second. What's up, Ray? Let's all hear.
Yeah, they're moving. They will be out if they were on the zoning hearing board, and they withdrew their application, and so they will be out of here by the end of the month, by the end of the year.
I'm just
By the
worried
end of
about
when?
Because
By the end of the year,
I mean,
Excellent.
they have
Okay.
junk cars, junk boats.
everything
well,
will be
good.
gone.
Look at
wood.
that, they already took care of it for you.
Good, I like that. Now, if you could take care of one other thing, on Prunwood Road, there is 5 water main leaks on that road.
What road?
Prunwood Road,
Water main?
water main.
In Plumstead.
That's Aqua.
Township should also still be aware because it's ripping up our roads. It's,
Well, they'll replace the roads if they have to fix the water main.
It's still their responsibility.
well, then that's all I have then, council.
All right.
All right.
Thanks,
What was
Tom.
your name
Have a
again?
great
Tom
night.
Stanton.
Tom Stanton.
From
Thanks,
Plum
Tom.
Ridge.
Yes.
Thanks for
Tom.
coming out. Hey, thanks for
Never
coming out to the
hesitate.
meeting.
I'm glad we're getting some money. We need it. We need more.
Good night, everybody. Oh, I'm assuming a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
And all in favor?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Good night.